Welcome to another episode of Dark Sean. Today we're doing one of the most famous Russian writers of all time. Let me just make a quick edit to that. Oh yeah, one of the most famous Russian writers of all time. Fyodor Dostoyevsky. Actually, his full name is Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoyevsky. Let's get this Dark Sean started with. Alright. First off, let's go on with his birthday. He was born on November 11th of 1821 in Moscow during the era of the Russian Empire, where Moscow wasn't the capital city, St. Petersburg was. And with that, we have a few actual other things to really talk about. Moscow was where he was born in, and since he was a little kid, he was exposed to Russian fairy tales and legends. With all that, so that he can go ahead and do some things. This is the main reason why he actually likes literature too, because he was introduced to it at a very early age. He also was given novels from foreign authors and novels and other books to be read about. And with that, we get a few things to actually talk about here too. I always say that, don't I? Fyodor Dostoevsky, with some of these Russian fairy tales inspirations, inspired him to actually start becoming a writer. Speaking of which, unfortunately, his mom died in 1837 when Dostoevsky was, 15 years old. Shortly afterwards, he went to go ahead and enrolled in this school called the Nikolaev Military Engineering School. And of course, he passed. However, while he was still enrolled here, his father died of more mysterious reasons. The doctors said that the reasons was a medical condition. However, the neighbor swore that he was killed by his own peasants, which is why having serfs were a pretty dangerous time in the ending days of the Russian Empire. And he successfully graduated Nikolaev Military Engineering Institute. However, he absolutely hated it. So instead, he opted out for a better, more suited career for himself. Literature. What a waste of school and money, his parents would have said. And since he decided to go for the literature career, man, my voice cracked. My literature career, you just go ahead and do a few other things with it. He wrote a book, which what anyone would do if they found out they had literature skills. And it was called Poor Folk. And this was interesting. It was awesome too, and it basically went into great acclaim. Why? This book is literally about poor people, as the name suggests. And it talks about the relationship between poor people and the aristocracy. It mainly focuses on poor people and how they live their lives and how unfair they are, and that they might actually uprise themselves into the world. And once he wrote this book and it went into a critical acclaim, he basically went famous and rich too. Before this, however, he started going ahead and editing and publishing and translating some foreign books into Russian, and that got him some lavish lifestyle, luxurious lifestyle too. That's what an aristocracy does. And then he wrote this, and he had to quit all those jobs. He could quit all those jobs. And because of this, he was given membership to join Moscovian literature circles. However, here is the one that he was interested in the most: the Petrashevsky Literature Circle. Now this works out really well because these guys were basically all the way aligned to Fyodor Dostoevsky's thinking. However, here's the downside. With all those knowledge and all that power, they actually just went ahead and discussed the fall and criticized the current Russian government. And because of that, there are a lot of people who actually hated it. And they just wanted to overthrow the Russians. The government, that is, not their fellow Russians. Hello, comrade. They would just always go there and do that and other things. They dilly-dallied on anti-Russian, anti-Tsar, anti-Russian Empire literature, and that basically got them in trouble. Dostoevsky was never directly involved in most of these. However, he was arrested because he was part of the group in 1849. And this is probably where he starts going to get humble, because of that acclaim, because of the public acclaim that he got from poor folk, he started becoming arrogant. And when he joined this club, of course, he became arrogant. And this is the start of him being mature again. Yes. And they were sentenced death via firing squad. Now, this is what Dostoevsky went ahead to thought of at the morning that he was going to be killed. It was 7 a.m. They were sent to their last toilet. And there were 6 people going to be shot that day. 3 were sent each time, and Dostoevsky was in the second part, the second 3. The first 3 were there. Silence. He and the rest of his 2 comrades were sent there. And the soldiers aimed their guns, put their fingers on their triggers, and then waited for the captain to go ahead and give the order to shoot. 3, 2, and just before he can say 1, a messenger arrives and says he pardons the Tsar. Just before all that, and that one precious minute before he dies, Dostoevsky, thought of some things, and that I'll tell you about later. Dostoevsky became a changed man that day. Apparently, the messenger came in and said, all these people are mercy by the Tsar and are pardoned by them, and they will be sent, instead of their punishment of death, will be sent to Siberia, and then, but before that, prison, and then Siberian camp for 15 years in total. And of course, Dostoevsky was sent to prison. He was only allowed to read the Bible. After prison, which was about 5 years, he was exiled into Siberia for 10 years. After that, during those 10 years though, he never wasted his life. He never wasted it at all. He wrote a lot of books. He wrote about psychology thrillers too. And eventually came up, after his Siberian exile of course, with this book, Crime and Punishment. And this was pretty much his major hit. Crime and Punishment is about this law student who's poor and can't really afford to go to law school anymore. His mom and sister are trying their best to get him back into a financial situation and greatness again, and they end up doing something that they've probably never thought of before. His sister said, I'm happy going to marry this guy, but of course our main character here is not that dumb, and he actually is able to read between the lines, and figures out that his sister is going to be in an unhappy marriage, and he thinks himself more intelligent since he's more intelligent than everyone else, he's going to be better than everyone else, and he decides to go ahead and do something that he's probably never ever done before. Murder someone. He decides, I'm going to be calculating. This person has scammed literally everyone in this town. If I destroy her, well, no more scams for anyone else anymore. But then again, no more pawnbroker. And before he doesn't even consider trying to get a job, as in like other than getting a law school job. He just thought of, he didn't think of getting a proper job as like waitress or waiter in this case, waiter. And he literally compared himself to Napoleon, one of the greatest people in the world, and he says he never worried about breaking law. He broke the law and changed the law. So he grabs an axe, murders the old lady, takes her stuff, and then out of the shock, when her sister comes in, he kills her too. He realizes, oh no, and he just buries the money away and never doesn't want anything to do with it again. Runs away from the law, and he tries to make himself get the punishment for it. However, every time the inspector comes in and plays the game, like, I know you did it, man. I know you did it. And like, you idiot, I didn't do it. I'm not falling for that game. And then he eventually confesses that he does do it because he did do it out of the love for someone else. What Dostoevsky wanted to make us point of in this book is that a lot of people who aren't smart actually were able to create better moral decisions, not because they never actually were spoiled, it's because they actually believed in God. However, the ones who were intelligent and actually believed in those kind of science and things and thought that God did not exist, they had to find reasons to justify why they did all this, because they never believed in someone to put all their faith in. They only put faith in themselves. They were their own God. And so they had to put reasons to why they did it. That was the whole point of Crime and Punishment for Fyodor Dostoyevsky. After that, he wrote another book based on his time at the firing squad. He wrote The Idiot. Now, The Idiot is basically about this. It's based on Fyodor Dostoevsky, and arguably the main character is Fyodor Dostoevsky with a different name, that is. Our unnamed character is called an idiot. He is sent to the firing squad, and within those last seconds, and last minute actually, he realizes and sees the world for the real first time. He sees the beautiful stuff, how beautiful a tree can be, how beautiful that church spire is, and how it would be nice to just swap places with a beggar so that he could just keep on living, breathing, and filling the air with his carbon dioxide, and making out the oxygen, just to be able to live again in any circumstance. And then the messenger arrives, and it's over. You have a second chance now. You see the world differently. And you love everyone. You don't discriminate. And You do things morally that other people probably wouldn't even do. You're so moral and so kind that to others you seem like some sort of idiot. That's literally the whole point of this book too. That's what Fyodor Dostoyevsky pretty much wanted to write. Before he died, he really wanted to give everyone a chance to actually realize the lessons of the world, where he wouldn't be able to go ahead and he wouldn't be criticized, and he wanted to show everyone the psychology of people, because all this can go ahead and impact their lives. All of this has impacted our lives one way or another. And all of this will be able to show them how to be a better human being. He definitely wanted to show this before death would take him with his Skype and everyone else with the earth. Speaking of which, he also went in a romantic marriage. He was married in 1857 with this woman, Maria Isabella. However, she died in 1864 along with their daughters and sons. And then he remarried Anna Snitkina, and since then he's been married to her until he died. And yes, all of his kids with her survived. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoyevsky died in St. Petersburg on February 9th of 1881. And with that, that's the end of his chapter. I highly recommend reading Crime and Punishment. I haven't started reading it. I'm starting as soon as this video ends. And, well, until next time, my great little fellows. I see you guys soon. Not out. Peace. Bye-bye. Dark Sean, out. This has been a Hunch on Chum production.